Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is for weeks 34 and 35. If you're new here, my name is Abby. I'm currently pregnant with our second child, which is a baby boy who is due on the 10th of June. So I am almost 36 weeks pregnant, nearing the end and getting very close to seeing him. Me and my husband Tom are already parents to our daughter Aoife, who is just over 2.5, so she'll be 3 in October. So we are adding to our brood and really excited to meet little man who is baby number 2. I'm also documenting everything like with the COVID and what it's like being pregnant and expecting a baby in this time. So yeah, let's get into week 34 first, and I have written down a couple of notes because I wanted to make sure that I don't forget anything. So I mentioned in my last video that I had a couple of things left to put into my hospital bag, which I have actually packed, but the items that I needed were not in the shops, so I had to order those online. They're actually coming next Wednesday, I think. Next Wednesday or the Wednesday after, I can't remember. So yeah, once those arrive, my hospital bag will be complete and will be able to be closed, zipped, put in the car and ready to go. For all of week 34, my Braxton Hicks were still happening. They weren't in any pattern, so I still knew that it was not the start of any labour pains or anything like that. They were just really random. But I've noticed that they do happen more on an evening. I don't know if it's because little man actually does come alive at night. He likes to be under the duvet, like where it's really extra dark, and he actually comes more alive and wiggles and wakes up and moves more. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I was having quite bad back pain on the lower part of my back, and I was having to have hot water bottles and hot baths just to try and soothe it, and I'm really not one to take paracetamol. I will only really take them when I feel that I really need them, and I actually did take 2 paracetamols one night because the pain in my back was quite bad. But since then, actually, my back pain has gone. I did have a midwife appointment last week, which went really well. My blood pressure is fine, baby's looking fine. She did do a bump measurement on me, and I was 34 weeks at the time that she measured me, but I was measuring 35 centimetres. She said that that is absolutely fine because the weeks that you are is genuinely around how many centimetres your bump should be, so that's absolutely fine, although it kind of did confirm to me that he is still a big baby. And she showed me his like growth chart that we have from the hospital at week 25, sorry, and he is on the same growth percentile line, which does mean that yes, he is still a big growing baby. And it kind of upset me a little bit because I feel like my dream of a natural birth has just completely gone out of the window. I do not think that I can naturally birth a 10-pound baby, and I don't think that I actually want to, because I do have to treat this as my first ever labour because I had an emergency section with Aoife. So yeah, he is looking still a big baby and my bump is enormous, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, he's just a healthy, happy growing baby. He is on the same percentile line, so it might just put some decisions in place on how he's going to be delivered, which I have been toying with throughout this whole pregnancy anyway. But yeah, I'm really glad that the midwife appointment went well. It was really nice. The doctors was surreal. There was literally nobody there, and in the waiting room there was me and one other chair. It felt very strange because I've been in lockdown now since like the middle of March. It just felt really weird. One, to be around people, like the receptionists and things, and 2, to be in a waiting room where there's just me and one other chair, and the other chair was like way back anyway. So yeah, it just felt a bit strange. So moving on to week 35, my Braxton Hicks have actually slowed down. They've slowed down a lot during the day, and I noticed yesterday that I was getting the Braxton Hicks hardening, but actually without the feeling of having a Braxton Hicks. So it was almost just like a really slight dull tingle all across my belly. So I knew it was a Braxton Hicks. I just didn't have the normal kind of Braxton Hicks feelings that I've been having. But again, they are happening a lot on an evening, and last night I actually had probably most in one night than I have had during my time of having Braxton Hicks, because I have had them for a couple of weeks now. Another thing that happened this week as well is that the hospital called me to say that they have received the measurements from my midwife appointment and have suggested that because he is growing on the same percentile line, he hasn't dropped, he hasn't gone up, he's literally just on the same line, that they're not going to give me another scan. I do have an appointment with our consultant in 2 days time, so I will be 36 weeks and 1 day pregnant. And they did suggest that they would have another look at him and try and estimate his birth weight. But because he is on the same growth line and the same percentile line, they've said that there's no real need for a scan and that the graph kind of shows us where he's at. So their predicament at 25 weeks of him being a very large baby of 10 pounds once he reaches 40 weeks is still correct. And yeah, it was a little when I received the phone call, it was a little bit upsetting. I did cry because I was really looking forward to seeing him on the scan, and that was kind of like my confirming factor of whether I was going to go for a natural or for a section, depending on how big he is. So yeah, my kind of decision has been taken out of my hands a little bit, and I think that I will be having a section just to deliver him safely and make sure that he's okay and there's no kind of emergency theatre that is needed like Aoife's birth. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. But you know, at the end of the day, as long as he is happy, as long as he is healthy, and as long as I am awake and present to see him being born, that is all that matters at the end of the day. So those are all my pregnancy updates, I think, for week 34 and 35. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about our lockdown and what we've been up to as a family. So this week is my 8th or 9th week at home in isolation. So i.e. not going to any shops, not going to any public places, going for our 1 hour daily walk outside. Tom is on his 5.5 week from being home from work on furlough. The weather again has been amazing. The last couple of days has been a bit cold, a bit grey and a bit rainy, but we've had amazing weather, like literally like 21, 22, 23 degrees, which is pretty unheard of in England, especially at this time that we probably could really do with nice weather. The weather has been on our side throughout this whole lockdown, and it's been amazing. Lots of time outside, going for walks in woods, going down to the canal and just exploring, letting Aoife climb trees and swing from trees and jump off trees. So yeah, it has been really fun, and actually being in lockdown with Tom at home has been amazing. We have not had one argument. We are getting on great, which we always do anyway. And Aoife's still loving both of us being at home together, and yeah, it's been really, really nice. Bank holiday was actually changed from a bank holiday Monday to a bank holiday Friday to celebrate the E-Day at 75, and it was really nice because we live on like a dead end road, and so all our street came together and socially distanced, like each other sat on the road, and we had bunting up and everyone made their own kind of lunches, and we all sat outside in the sun. People were drinking, having fun. Aoife had an absolute whale of a time. She loved it. She was in her element. And the next day, actually, she was like, can we have another party? And the weather was so nice that we said yes and kind of went outside again, and whoever wanted to be outside, we would just class that as like another party for her. And yeah, she had a really lovely time and we did too. So I think that's all my updates for these weeks, for weeks 34 and 35. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.